Recording. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to pop a quick disclaimer up on the screen. This is just to say that this event is being recorded and it will be sent to our YouTube live channel. If you prefer not to be recorded, we ask that you kindly leave now. And if it would be okay with you guys, if you can just mute your microphones as well during the activity. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. I'm Tamsin Blanchard. I'm the curator for Fashion Open Studio. Really happy to have with us this afternoon Elliss, who is going to be delivering a collage workshop. Hi, Elliss. Great to have you with us. It would be really good just to start off, just to give a bit of background about you and about your practice, and also about how you've been coping during the pandemic. I know that you've been taking part in making scrubs for the NHS. Do you want to tell us what you've been doing?
Shall I start with telling everyone a bit about the brand? I don't know if people watching know about the brand. So I'm Elliss Solomon and I have a brand called Elliss, which is very heavy on print, hence the collage workshop. Everything, all the fabrics we use are organic and recycled, and we produce ethically. At the moment,
what do you mean by that, ethically?
So we produce with two small factories, one in London and one in Slovenia. The Slovenia is a more recent addition, but a really brilliant family-run factory that recycle all their offcuts from production, so everything from thread, which is actually a law in Slovenia, which is interesting to know. So locally, and the one that's a little bit less local is also a really brilliant setup. But yeah, we're a super small team, and try and be involved in all the processes. So collage is a big part of the brand. It's something that I do to create my prints, usually using vintage magazines, from nudist magazines to actually pornos, but done in a tasteful way. A lot of my collage is figurative, so it's really great to have kind of body parts and things to work with. Today, I don't have all of my stash, so I'm working with images from research I did when I was at university, because I have a pile of that with me, and then also an old Sunday Times magazine and a box of Dorset cereal. And then what I've been doing since all of this madness. So I mean, obviously still doing the brand, but electronically, which has been interesting. And then I've also set up with another brand an initiative called Scrub Up, which has been to help novices and expert sewers have an easy route to creating scrubs for the NHS. We created a PDF pattern, which you can draft at home with simple instruction and how to sew it up. And then also some video tutorials on our Instagram. My sister Chloe has been enlisting volunteers to call all the hospitals in the UK to find out what their need is. So I know one of the big problems is people want to sew scrubs, but then they didn't know where to send them. So yeah, Chloe's been making that easy for people to know where to send them. So we've been working hard on that as well.
That's amazing. And is it making a real difference? Are you having feedback from the hospitals?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm in direct contact with a local hospital to me now in Middlesbrough. So my cousin's girlfriend is a nurse there, and she's actually we've been delivering the scrubs directly to her, and she's been taking them in. I know they're really delighted with it. I've also got another cousin who works in the NHS in Lincoln, so I've been sending to her GP practice, and they didn't have any scrubs. So the feedback I've directly had has been really positive. You know, they didn't know where to get them, and I think the volunteers that have been sewing have been really, really useful. And also just people who've kind of been connecting with us on the Facebook page and have found the instructions useful. And I think some people have been sewing who wouldn't have necessarily done it without seeing this group. So I hope it's been useful.
Yeah. And are you using special fabric?
So for this, we have to use polycotton, which wouldn't be something I would use with the brand because unless the polyester was recycled, that's not something I would do. But in this situation, because it's such a that's what they ask for. We've been using polycotton. There's all the information on the Facebook page for the specific requirements. It's like 60% polyester, 40% cotton. So it can be washed at 60 degrees. Yeah, so that's the fabric, and then it's just kind of plain colors. Some maternity departments and things like that can have prints, but mainly plain blues and things like that. Yeah.
How long is it taking you to make a set?
So we doubled our turnover. We started off just kind of sorting out all the patterns and everything. It took us 3 days to do 6 sets, which we were happy with, but didn't feel like a huge difference. But then we doubled our turnover and did 12 in 2.5 days, which 12 sets, so trousers and tops. But I think probably that's me and my mum doing it together. So she's on the iron, I'm on the machine, we swap over, but obviously with lots of tea breaks. So we're not a professional, outfit, but yeah, I think that's manageable for any kind of designer to do.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for taking a break to do some collaging with us. The collages that you make for your clothes, you have a really specialist printer, don't you, who works on them to actually print?
So we print on organic cotton, and the dyes are non-toxic, got certified dyes. But yeah, it's all digital print, which uses the least water wastage in the printing process. Yeah.
Did you do a lot of research to find that?
Yeah, I think when the fabric sourcing does take quite a long time, and the printers, we're looking into working with some more places, but even developing those relationships and everything does take a long time. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think everybody's kind of excited to get on with doing some collage. We've got quite a few people joining us. Actually, I've got one question here that I'll just ask you now from Naomi Bray, asking, can anyone help to make these scrubs? I'm just an amateur sewer, but my skills could possibly be enough to make them.
The answer is yes. As long as you've got a sewing machine, then you can help. So if you have a look on the scrub up page. Oh, this is Martha. Martha works with me.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Sporting Elliss today as well. There you go, the yellow tang bra.
Quite a team.
Yeah. So yeah, you can just if you have a look on the link at the top of the chat, I think the scrub up link, that will give you all the information. Also, you can email me afterwards if you have any questions at info@elliss.co.uk, and I'll be happy to answer anything.
Because you've really open sourced that pattern, haven't you? And it's there, and anybody can get on and do it. It's amazing. Great. Oh well, I'm going to hand over to you to start your workshop.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I mean, usually the way that we do this is have people in the studio all collaging together. We have a cup of tea and whatnot, and it's a lot of chat. So it's a different experience for me now. but I've started off doing a little collage with an old Sunday Times magazine and some old research, which is a leg mountain.
Ooh, that's cool.
Are you going to be collaging as well?
I am. I need to get some stuff actually, because I'm aware I'm like 10 minutes late to the chat, so I need to just pop downstairs, grab a newspaper. So I'll be back. Just bear with me.
So this is my first collage. the way that I usually work, well, the reason I like to collage is because I think it's a way that you can take something like a magazine where you don't like half the stuff in it, and you can take, or you can flick through it and find all of the things that you do like within it and create something that really feels authentic to you, which, yeah, I think that's really amazing. I'm really interested in curation, and yeah, I really like the idea that you can pick all of these little bits within a page and turn a page into something entirely different. Yeah, this is definitely unusual, because usually now someone would say something. If you've got any questions for me, pop them in the chat, and I will try and answer as well.
And if anybody wants to just raise your hand if you've got any, or if you want to just say hi, just turn your video on, that's fine. Yeah,
pop your video on, that would be nice. Yeah, so
what have you got behind you?
Behind me, I've just got a bunch of old research and yeah, and magazine pages that I've ripped out. Just did a little collage on the wall because I thought better than plain wall. So just done a little collage there. This one made me laugh, actually. It says how to do just about anything on a computer, which is ironic for the moment in time.
Do you theme your collages for your collections?
Sorry?
Do you theme the collages for your collections?
Yeah, I do. So I think usually I'm inspired by something. The recent collages that I did for actually my unreleased collection is all about the beach. So I was collaging, yeah, a lot of beach themed imagery. I think that's a nice way to keep it cohesive, and I like to keep the colors quite cohesive through a collection. But sometimes it's nice, like in these collage workshops, I try and not treat it too much like when I design for the collection, because that becomes a bit more regimented. It's quite nice just to like be fishing through, yeah, and just create quirky little collages with a sense of humor. I think that's something that I try and do. When I'm looking through magazines or anything, I generally kind of look for figurative imagery. But last time I did the collage workshop, everybody had a completely different thing that they were looking for. One girl was collaging only car tires she found in these magazines, which I thought was really brilliant. Yeah, so it's anything that you're interested in. If anybody is collaging and has something to show us as well, that would be really lovely. Here comes Martha with a stack.
And I see Chloe Baines, you're there. Do you want to ask your question? Chloe's going to be joining us actually on Thursday for another session. Hi, Chloe.
Hi.
Martha, maybe just mute your chat until you're ready to.
Yeah. I'll mute it now. Sorry, one sec.
Yeah, hi, Chloe.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone.
Hiya.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know if there was any particular publications or newspapers, or if there's anything that you kind of go to first or that you tend to use more often. Just because I kind of like the idea that you're using ones you've got at home, because I know that a lot of us probably have a lot of magazines at home and stuff. So yeah, I just thought I'd see if there was anything in particular that you go to look for pictures for your collages, or if it's just anything.
I tend to look a lot for 60s magazines because I really like the color palette. But I don't have a specific magazine that I go to regularly. I do use a lot of nudist magazines from the 60s, but I'm a big internet hunter, so I go on, you know, eBay and to kind of old vintage stores looking for those magazines. But I like that to kind of be the thing that inspires me rather than looking for some specific publication. But now I don't have any of those magazines, so I'm working with other things, which is interesting. I think you can collage with anything. Like I said before, the idea that you can take something that maybe isn't visually that impressive and pick, you know, bits from it and turn that into something. You can turn that into something that is more visually impressive. That's what kind of inspires me.
Yeah, that sounds super cool.
What are you working with now? Do you have some magazines in front of you?
No, I don't actually, but I was thinking when I saw this workshop that I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do a little bit of this. So I'll do some later on and share it with you if you're.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, do tag Fashion Open Studio and also Elliss on, it's at Elliss.
Yeah.
On Instagram. Yeah, so have a look at them. If anybody wants to say anything, do put your video cameras on so we can see you. We had another question from M Still. M, are you there? Do you want to show yourself? And
Show yourself.
show yourself.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh,
but
no,
so,
okay.
the question.
That's Marina is asking, do you also make digital?
So yes, I do. I collage digitally as well. Sometimes that makes the most sense for a collage, and it's quite nice for the clothing. I blend, so I sometimes use Photoshop to kind of blend the collages together and get a more seamless print. And actually, yeah, this one I did. This is one of my tops, but I did that on the computer. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so I do that, and then also the way that I collage onto the clothes. So I use like Illustrator, and I have all these collages that maybe I've done by hand, or they're or I'm working with them on Photoshop, and then I drop them into the clothes, so I can see how to kind of position them within a garment. And that's also part of the process, because every garment, so you might have one print and it might look super nice on one garment, but then you put it onto a different shape and it changes it entirely and it doesn't work. So yeah, so I do collage digitally as well. But I actually think the reason I really like doing these workshops, or did like doing them in person, is because it brings you back to that kind of raw, I'm just cutting up a piece of paper, which I like. Yeah.
Should you have done a graphics degree?
Oh yeah, maybe. I didn't. I actually, when I was doing my art foundation, I remember the graphics tutors thinking that I should do graphics, but I was like, no, I'm doing fashion.
Can you tell everybody what you did? Yeah, just your education. Amy Johnson's asking about your education experience.
So I did my art foundation at Kingston University, which was quite a broad art foundation. You did everything from stop motion animation to fashion design and woodwork, everything. I loved that because it was really creative. And then I went to Central St. Martin's to do a women's wear design degree. Yeah, so just the foundation and BA. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, off you go then. Sorry, I just butted in.
No, butting in is good. The conversation is better for me. I'm not good at speaking. At the moment, I am cutting up it's a kind of an old advertisement for some workwear. I'll show you. So I'm just going to cut that up. And then I also have some kind of Bauhaus related imagery. This is obviously what I found very inspiring when I was at university. So I've got some interesting backgrounds to play with, some color. What's quite nice about an image like this as well is that you could actually completely deconstruct it. So you could take, you might think, oh, yellow would work well in this collage, completely disregard the rest and use that with something entirely different. Yeah, and an old vintage Levi campaign, which is quite cool.
Oh, love that.
You might manage to find some magazines, Martha.
I mean, I have a very poor selection, I'm not gonna lie. I've all I could find in my house was a load of old Grazia magazines. It's actually really funny. The front cover of this has got Tan and Alexa Chung from Next in Fashion. But yeah, a lot of in style.
I mean, so if you just choose one of those magazines and then just start flicking through it and seeing what kind of jumps out to you, what inspires you, and select this. And then what I like to do is to take all of those images to the side and put the magazine that you thought was not a good starting place to the side, and then you're just left with the things that you like from it. So then you're able to, it's quite a good way, even if it's if you don't want to end up with a collage, maybe you want to do like a painting or something. It's quite a nice way to start off, just trying to understand what colors are actually inspiring you and what images are jumping out at you, and it can be a really good starting place.
I've got this nice one, found this nice one here of a nice like velvet chair, which I quite like, and the legs poking out the side. That's maybe a good starting point. But I'll let you.
No, that's good. It's all good. Good stuff. So yeah, I'm going to chop up some of this Bauhaus color because I love this blue. I also love looking for old, interesting fonts. So that's something in all my vintage mags that I like to look for. And then you can collage the. Oh God, sorry, I've got my chat on. So you can collage the text onto the imagery as well, and also cut up the text and rewrite new things. Yeah. Has anyone else got any more questions for me?
I have a question, Elliss.
Yeah.
Where did the print come from for this Anna yellow tang bralette? It's got the yellow lips on the front, which I love.
That is actually the same lips that were on the first Anna body. So that one was one that actually did work on a couple of different style shapes, which sometimes the prints don't. But that is Anna Kingsford, who is a anti-vivisection vegetarian activist from the 1800s. So I try and use women that inspire me in the collages. So sometimes I will hunt through books and the internet to find inspiring women and then repaint them. Yeah, so that's another way to create the prints, using collage and also mixed media using paint as well.
Nice.
What inspires the shapes of the garments? So combination of things. It started off, actually, the brand started off as a more focused on underwear. And that was the reason I wanted to do that, was because I was trying to think sustainably and I didn't want to create, I guess, more waste in the world. And I thought the most sustainable way to shop is to buy vintage. And then I thought, but what can't you buy vintage? What do you want to buy new? What in my wardrobe would I want new? And the first thing that came to mind was obviously underwear, because you don't want to buy that from a secondhand store. So I started with underwear. So that kind of inspired, it was actually more of a thought process than a visual inspiration, but it started off that we were working with a lot of underwear. And then I guess that kind of inspired the shapes going forward. So now we do a lot of kind of bodies and dresses that have, underwear details and things like that. But yeah, it depends on the collection. But that was the starting point. Do I have to worry about copyright on the images? Especially for more modern magazines. So I tend to not use modern magazines for the brand collage. I tend to use really, really old imagery and then totally change it. So it's recollaged in a different way, maybe painted over. And also looking for imagery that's in the public domain to work with. So that is something that I do think about, but it hasn't been an issue because of the way that I select the images. When you're collaging, do you work around a theme while selecting pictures? Yes, I do tend to work around a theme, but often it is inspired by the magazines that I'm looking at. So I might have no theme in my mind, and then actually start flicking through a magazine and start to, as I say, pick things out that I like and think, okay, this is starting to turn into something. Now I'll look more into that. And find more images relating to that theme. Yeah. If anyone is collaging, I would love to see what you're working on. If you can turn on your screen, that would be brilliant. And if anyone's just joined, this is my first collage. It's a legs mountain. I don't know if anyone's just joined. I'm not sure how this works.
Yeah, this is actually my first time using Zoom. I have absolutely no idea what's going on, really. Elliss, are you sticking this down, or are you just placing it on a board?
I'm sticking it down. I don't have any tape here, so I am using sellotape.
Okay.
So that's how I'm doing it. There's yeah, usually I would use glue.
Okay.
But you can also just play around. It's quite nice to just cut out all the things and then leave it to the last minute to stick it down. Just kind of,
Yeah, nice.
Kind of play around.
Yeah.
Is that another question? I would really love to create some collages. Do you have any ideas of what I could do with them? I wouldn't be using them for clothing like you, of course, but I'm wondering if there are any interesting ways to display them or things to do with them. I mean, I'm a massive interior design, make your home as amazing as possible person. So, I mean, what I would do if I was collaging would be to create some amazing big collages and use them in your bedroom or your kitchen, or yeah, get them framed. You can buy some, you know, really lovely frames from even Habitat, not too expensively. I have some nice oak ones from there, and then you can yeah, frame them. You can even, I found a notebook recently that just had a couple of lines in it. I don't even know who did them, but I actually ripped them out, stuck them to a piece of tracing paper and then framed it, and it looks like quite an expensive piece of art. So yeah, I think you can just I think use them as pieces of art. Yeah, I like to be quite like comical with my collage, so, and abstract. So I mean, even because I like to be quite figurative, the way that I cut out these legs for my legs mountain, I quite like the idea that you can take a leg that is one shape and actually change it, just using the shadow. So that's something I'm looking at right now with the way I'm cutting out. Yeah, currently collaging onto a new landscape, which is a country theme. Something about things floating around the mountains. That's quite funny. Other collage artists. I'm really inspired by Bauhaus, the Bauhaus time. Trying to think of a specific person. I can't think of someone off the top of my head right now, but yeah, I really love constructivist Bauhaus imagery. I'm curious about the textile waste. Since the fabric is painted and it has the design in a specific place, you cannot use it. Oh, okay. You design for it to be all over the fabric, or do you leave? Sorry, I'm not sure if everybody can see these comments. Should I be reading them out loud? So I'm curious about the textile.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. I'm curious about the textile waste. Since the fabric is printed and it has the design in a specific place, you cannot use all of it in order to place it in the garments. So what she's trying to say is that you have to do, what you have to do is you have your roll of fabric, and the designs have to be printed in kind of squares, or in a way that is maybe not as efficient as you would be laying out a print if it was a plain fabric, which is the case. So what I try and do is be as careful with the lay plans as possible. So twisting the patterns to slot into each other like a puzzle as much as possible, as well as using the small pieces in between garments to make underwear and also bras. But it takes me a really long time. Anyone who you ask who sits next to me while I'm doing a placement print knows that it takes me a really, really long time, because I try and be as efficient as possible with the way that it's laid out. It's definitely a more complicated process than just buying a plain fabric and cutting from that. But yeah, it is something that I think about a lot. Oh, the other thing to note on that one, I don't know if you heard at the beginning, I was speaking to Tamsin, but the factory I work with recycles all offcuts from thread to fabric waste. So everything goes into the construction industry, which will either be used for filler yeah, filler mainly. So for like mattresses or construction for your wall, for the walls. But it's but yeah, everything is used.
Interesting that's the law in, was it Slovenia? You
Slovenia, yeah.
I mean, how extraordinary. Why can't we have that policy?
No, it's frustrating. I think sometimes, I mean, because the law is that there, I mean, unless you work with I mean, it's amazing to work locally. I'm a massive advocate for that as well. But sometimes working locally, I do think isn't always the best option. There are other options that are really great abroad because of laws like that. I mean, if you do work with a local factory, it's good to try and organise some kind of recycling initiative if they don't have that already, because I know a lot of London factories don't recycle.
So have you done that yourself? How's that worked? I know that you were talking to your local authority.
Yeah, so you can organise to have the textile waste picked up. So that's yeah. So that's.
And where do they take it? So you do that with Hackney.
Yeah, so they also take it, and it also becomes it gets all kind of ground up and created turned into construction waste that they use in the construction industry. There's actually a video on Hackney Council, I think, of like a recycling of how they go through the process. I'll search that out.
Yeah, but obviously I'm sure you keep your waste to a complete minimum anyway.
To a minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always difficult. There's never going to be no waste, but yeah, to try and keep it to an absolute minimum. I mean, the other thing to note as well is with a smaller brand, you're producing quite a small amount, you know, your quantities aren't huge. So in comparison to these, you know, really big companies who are not doing anything and have a huge, vast amount of waste in comparison, it's, yeah, it's very small.
It's difficult for you to access the materials like the organic cottons and jerseys that you would like to on minimum orders.
Yes, I will say that does become a bit of a problem. It's I guess recently it's become more of a problem because I would like to expand into more into newer fabrics, and sometimes it is a problem. But me and Martha have been doing actually a lot of research into new mills, and we found some places that do have lower minimums that have some really interesting fabrics, working with sea cell, which is a seaweed fiber, and also all the kind of recycled organic fibers and how they combine it, looking at recycled cotton as well as organic cotton, because that's another really good option. But yes, it is a bit of a thing. I would like to be able to think, I just want to use this fabric and I want it to look like that, and be able to just kind of search for it and find it. But I see a fabric I like, and then I think, well, I'm not going to use that because it's actually not, it's not got the composition that I need. So then you might speak to a mill and try and get them to replicate something like that, and it could become quite expensive. So it is a bit of an issue, but I think we managed to work around it. And I think that's why print is such a great thing, because you can make something super interesting on your own accord. Yeah.
How much time do you spend collaging? And is this the kind of beginning of a collection for you? Is that how you would start?
Yeah. So researching into magazines, sourcing magazines, new magazines for the collection, and then I spend a lot of time scanning as well, because I do, as I said, do some digital collage. So yeah, but I spend a lot of time at the beginning doing all of that collage, and then even doing the lay plans for the fabric becomes its own kind of collage. I mean, obviously dictated by how you need to lay the patterns to make it as efficient as possible. But sometimes when I get the fabric rolls back, it just looks amazing, because it's all of these haphazard different collages next to each other, and it's these rolls of fabric. So it's really nice. Yeah, I spend a lot of time collaging. Yeah.
How's Martha's collage coming along?
Oh yeah.
I've just got a bit of I'm not laying anything out yet. I've just got a few cutouts of things I like, but unfortunately I have very modern magazines, so I don't want to, it's a lot of adverts, and I would definitely, the copywriting issues. But I found some nice kind of like foam
Yeah, that's cool.
structures, which I quite like. that's all these kind of like swirly shapes, which I think could be quite interesting, and the colours are quite nice as well. And I've got like a little sort of a little strip of like scaffolding, which I quite like as well, but just yet to piece it all together.
Yeah, I think that's something that actually does take a really long time, is just to go through all of the magazines and find the things you like. That's probably takes the longest. Once you have all the pieces you like, you just, you know, cut it out and stick it down. Or I mean, actually, obviously you have to work out the layout, but I do think it's the most time consuming part.
Yeah.
Somebody's asked, what does a general working day look like for you? What different things do you have to do? My working day is all over the place. I do a million different things. So sometimes I try and give myself a day where I am just researching and collaging. But yeah, I would like that to be every working day. We also have to do a lot, you know, of production, which is sourcing materials, emailing manufacturers, speaking with the factories, doing lay plans and pattern cutting, which I don't know if you know about pattern cutting, but that's creating the shapes. So when you drape on a mannequin and then turn it into a paper pattern that then goes to the factory or you make in the studio. So it's everything from physical and creative to the more menial emailing. And yeah, also we do all kind of press related stuff from the studio. So emailing magazines and stylists about their requests and sending out loans for people to use the clothes in editorials. So there's that side of the day. Yeah, I need to be better at structuring my day, but at the moment it's kind of everything and anything that comes my way. And actually at the moment my working day is looking like sewing scrubs a lot, because that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, if that answers your question.
Elliss, how are you coping at the moment with, obviously, with the I mean, have you still got orders? Have you had orders cancelled?
Yes, so yes and no. So we have the online shop running, so everybody, so we do still have orders coming through on that, and Martha's actually in London, so Martha's been sending those out. Shops wise, yeah, it's a tricky one for brands, I think. We don't have any, you know, orders going out at the moment, and I don't think that we will have any new orders placed for the foreseeable future. So it's really reliant on the online store. So yeah, it's a tricky place for the brand right now, and I think it's a tricky place for a lot of brands. Luckily, in Slovenia, I think their situation's a bit more together than ours, and the factory is going to be working. So we will have some new pieces coming online, and that's going to hopefully keep us ticking over. But yeah, it is definitely tricky.
Are you applying for any of the grants that British Fashion Council are offering?
Yeah, I applied for the BFC funding. I applied for, I don't know if you've heard of Bumble Business, there's the dating app. They also have a grant. I applied for that. So yeah, applying for different fundings. Hopefully we'll get one. Fingers crossed. But right. Yeah, other than that, just like keeping going with the website, yeah, and trying to make it work in a way that we can.
Yeah,
if I can just cut in, the website is actually, like, at the moment it's better than what me and Elliss, I think you as well, better than we were both expecting. I was talking to our guy who like sends out our orders every day, so he comes into the studio. He's a great guy, and I was chatting to him last week, so I'm driving to the studio like every week to send the orders out, and I said to him, like, are you busy at the moment? Like, what's going on with your situation? He said it's the busiest I've ever been, like busier than Christmas.
Yeah, because people are doing all their shopping online, I guess. I mean, I did at the beginning, the orders definitely slowed down because I think everyone was in shock. Nobody knows what their financial situation is. But I think, yeah, it's starting to regulate a bit more, which we're obviously very happy about. But yeah, I'm still nervous because I still feel like, you know, it's week by week and you don't know how things are going to be. But yeah, positive. Martha's the positive, and I'm the more skeptical.
So will you be designing pieces specifically for people to be wearing more, you know, working from home, at home, on their Zooms?
Yeah, definitely. It's something we've thought about. I mean, yeah, I mean, we've got kind of like a cycle short and more loungy things, and I think we'll probably be introducing more prints in those styles. So yeah, because I think people aren't going to be wearing the more extravagant dresses so much, unless you want to kind of just put an outfit on for your Zoom call. But yeah, I think the comfier pieces are what we're going to be focusing on. We've also got, like, I mean, everything's stretched, so everything's comfy. I've been wearing a lot of the brand stuff. So yeah, I think it's good for that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've got some more questions. So this is from Naomi Bray. Thanks, Naomi. Do you work remotely a lot, or do you have a main kind of head office studio where most of your work's done, you and your team?
So yeah, we have a studio in Hackney. Tend to go in there and work every day. So not really working remotely a lot. So this is something new, and I'm finding it yeah, it's different. But yeah, I guess, you know, the positive is that I can collage anywhere. I do work digitally a lot on my computer with the collage, so it is possible to do that. Obviously, you need somebody to be able to go in and send out the orders, because we send everything through our studio. It's all done there. It's not through a warehouse. So we do need our space. We share a studio with a menswear designer. So it's usually a really nice, fun vibe in the studio. So I do miss that. But yeah, we have a studio.
Yeah. From Shruti Agarwal, how do you distinguish between collaging and juxtaposing for your artworks, or is it all mixed media?
Not sure I exactly understand, but so the two medias that I would use is collage and paint. So I sometimes, if it's like a really old black and white image and I want to put some color into it, I will do a kind of washes over it or repaint them entirely. So yeah, so that's mixed media. The collaging, some of the collages I do just for myself, I won't use as a print because they don't really work on garments, but then they're not really for much. They're just kind of for me to have about my house or give away as gifts or something. But yeah, I mean, most of my collaging that I do is really for the brand. So yeah, does that answer the question?
I think it does. We have a message as well from viewers on YouTube. Michaela Menegaldo. Hi Elliss, if you're creating your prints and patterns digitally, have you looked into using AI solutions to find the most effective layout to reduce waste?
Yeah, so I do actually use, do you mean Adobe Illustrator? I use Illustrator to create the lay plans. So yes, I think so, unless you have a different program that's called AI also.
We'll wait to hear back from Michaela if he does. You've got 3 minutes left, so we need to see some results. I don't know, is anybody out there going to show us anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, I do understand if people haven't managed to do a final collage, because I mean, when I've done this in person, we've ended up sitting around, you know, gabbing for like 5 hours. People really stayed for a long time in the studio last time. But so I understand if you haven't started, but hopefully this has been a bit of inspiration for a new activity to do when you're at home in isolation. So that's the hope. I actually am also, I've been talking so much, I've got some kind of, I mean, I'm not even sure what I'm doing. I don't think these are my best works. I've just got my background of my farm, and I've cut out some overalls. So it seems that it's quite twee.
Show it again, we want to see.
Oh, it's just it's literally all I've done is cut out some overalls and a farm. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Somehow you make it look kind of surreal and dreamy.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, the legs mountain I'm quite happy with. I mean, I just literally did this in a couple of minutes before.
I love that one. That's great.
But yeah, I'm quite happy with this. This might go up on my wall here.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very, very much, Elliss and Martha. And yeah, looking forward to seeing people's collages going up. And yeah, if you could share your leg mountain with us, Elliss, we'd love to share that with everybody.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.